What's up, everybody? I'm Happy Hill, and with the Cinderace raid fastly approaching tomorrow, actually, I figured it'd be a good time to go over not only the moveset for Cinderace, but also what ability they're going to have, and the Pokemon that are going to be best to go up against Cinderace this weekend. So, hope you guys have your notes ready, because we're getting right into it. So there's not a lot to go off of right now since nobody actually knows what the moveset is entirely going to be come tomorrow for Cinderace. But there are a couple websites that I found, one being MP First and the second being the Game8.co website. Just kind of lists the supposed Cinderace moveset that they've seen in the past. So here they talk about, at the time of writing, like I mentioned, there's no available information about what particular moveset they will have during the raid. But they do call out a couple things. One, Cinderace can use high jump kick, which is a strong fighting type move. So obviously, with the fighting Tera type, it'll hurt quite a bit. Also, it is going to have Pyro Ball, which is a good fire type move, and it might actually burn the target as well. Cinderace can also learn Sucker Punch, so that's one thing. It's a ghost type, or it's a dark type move, so that'll be pretty effective against the ghost types that we're going to be talking about here very soon. And that's about it there. It also talks about Libero, which is the ability it's going to have. Now, Libero would only be effective in the cases of if it wasn't terastallized. Now, because it's terastallized, Libero shouldn't have any particular effect on the Pokemon anymore. But who knows? Maybe it'll be able to change up their stab or something like that. We don't know yet, but we'll see what happens. Now, moving on over to MP First's website. It's a little bit more detailed, but the same thing here is that it doesn't really know the exact moveset that they're going to have. Here they're going to give you an overview of Cinderace in general, not for their Tera raid, but it calls out more moves than the Game8.co website did. So here we talk about Pyro Ball again, high jump kick, but then it goes into detail about a steel type move, Iron Head. So steel type and poison type are the weaknesses of, you guessed it, fairy types. What is going to be a strong type of Pokemon to bring into this Tera raid? Just like the Charizard one, Azumarill, and other fairy types. Now, Steel Iron Head is pretty strong. Gunk Shot is going to be incredibly strong as well. Sucker Punch is also going to be strong against ghost types, like we had talked about in the Game8.co website as well. Court Change, I'm not too sure about Court Change, but I guess it's a possible move that they can have. So yeah, this is what we've actually found out as far as possible movesets go. Now, moving on to my recommended Pokemon for this upcoming weekend's Tera Raid events with Cinderace, I am starting this off with everybody's favorite, Azumarill. Now, Azumarill is a water and fairy type, and what that means is that it is not only resistant against fire and resistant against the fighting type of Cinderace, it is also very strong against the fighting type with the fairy moves. Now, as everybody saw with the Azumarill last time, it is very strong offensively and supporting if you want to swap out a move with Helping Hand. But here I'm running Muscle Band with it because it slightly boosts the power of your holder's physical moves, which is perfect for an attack Azumarill. Now, as far as the moveset goes, I went with Rain Dance for one. It's a very good supporting move to have, especially against a fire type. It reduces fire type moves, and it also ups water type moves. Now, you're not necessarily going to be using a lot of water type moves against Cinderace here because it's a fighting Tera type. However, it's good to have in your pocket, but not, if anything, just reducing the fire type moves that Cinderace may use. Now, with Belly Drum and Play Rough, Belly Drum was a key move in helping defeat Charizard in every Tera raid that a lot of people used by using Play Rough after Belly Drum. It does a significant amount of damage, especially considering Azumarill's ability, which is huge power, doubles your Pokemon's attack. So instead of having 218 attack, you have 436, and that's not including the Belly Drum buff. So with all that considered, Azumarill is a very good Pokemon to have for your kit. Now, with that being said about the fairy and water type, as we mentioned earlier, Cinderace may or may not have Iron Head or Gunk Shot. So depending on if it ends up having those moves or not, Azumarill may or may not get hit pretty hard sometimes, but it still has yet to see tomorrow when the raid actually comes out. Now, moving on to our next Pokemon is going to be Slowbro. Now, you can see here my Tera type is Dragon. Don't worry about that. I highly recommend having a Psychic Tera type on your Slowbro, but if not, there's no worries there. Now, for Slowbro, right, it's a Water and Psychic type Pokemon. So, Water's resistant against fire, Psychic is resistant against fighting. Perfect combo there. And for the held item on my Slowbro, I put on Twisted Spoon to amp up its Psychic type moves. Now, kind of a spoiler there, but we are going with a special attack Slowbro, which he's a special attacker through and through. Now, his special attack is capped out at 328 for mine. His defense is very high as well, so and obviously he's HP EV'd. All of these Pokemon here are HP EV'd and either attack EV'd up or special attack. So we have 3 special attackers here and 3 physical attackers. Now, Slowbro is probably one of the better hybrid Pokemon here, outside of Azumarill. Here, my kit involves Yawn as a support move, right? So Yawn is going to go ahead and put the target to sleep for a little bit. Rain Dance, again, same thing as with Azumarill, lowers fire type, increases water type. And be great to have as a defensive move to use for the entire battlefield. Now, for the moves, I went with Psychic because not only does it pack quite a bit of a punch, it also has a chance of reducing these target special defense, which would be perfect for you and your rest of the raid, actually. Now, Future Sight is, in my opinion, one of the better Psychic moves to have because it inflicts a ton of damage, and considering Slowbro's special attack is very, very high, this is a very good move to have. Now, that's it for him. The ability is Own Tempo. It's nothing major, so we're not going to go into that. But moving on to our third Pokemon is another physical attacker, and that is Cinderace. Now, Cinderace is a fire and ghost type Pokemon, which, I mean, you guys can kind of discern it. Fire is highly resistant against fire. Now, a cool thing about Cinderace, though, we'll get to it right now, is that its ability is Flash Fire too. So it's not only just going to resist fire, it's going to nullify it completely. Because Flash Fire is if you get hit by a fire type move, your Pokemon absorbs the flames and uses them to power up its own fire type moves, which we're not necessarily going to utilize for the fire buff, but we won't get hit by any fire type moves, take no fire damage whatsoever. So that is amazing. Not only that, we're a ghost type as well. So you know what that means? We can't even get hit by physical moves, such as all the fighting type moves that Cinderace is going to have. But going back to the thing about the possible sucker punch that Cinderace may bring to the table, it might get a little bit weird. So we'll have to wait and see what the actual moveset is, but I think Cinderace is going to be a fantastic Pokemon for this Tera raid. Now, for the held item, I put on Scope Lens because it boosts the holder's critical hit ratio, which would be perfect because for my moveset on Cinderace, I have on him Swords Dance to amplify his attack and Psycho Cut, which, here, I'll show you. Psycho Cut has a heightened chance to land a critical hit. So not only do I have the Scope Lens, I have Psycho Cut. So it's almost insta-crit every single time, which would be amazing against a fighting Tera type. Now, as far as the stats go, their attack, top tier. 383 attack damage, very nice. The defense is okay. Special defense is okay as well, so it's pretty well rounded. But also the speed. The speed is very good on Cinderace, so that's good to have. And like I already went over about Flash Fire, perfect thing to have against a Fire-type Pokemon. Now, moving on to our fourth Pokemon. This is going to be an interesting one. It is Pelipper. Now, Pelipper is a water and flying type Pokemon. Water, resistant against fire. Flying, resistant against fighting type. And its held item that I put onto Pelipper is going to be Wide Lens. Now, this is to improve its accuracy with its moves. And this is the reason why. Now, the moveset that I chose for Pelipper is going to be Chilling Water. Now, Chilling Water is a water type move. You know, obviously you're thinking, well, it's not a fire type because it's terrestrialized into fighting. However, this move also lowers the Pokemon's attack stat, which is amazing against a physical attacker. Now, Rain Dance, again, like I mentioned in the others, lowers fire, raises water. Perfect. Now, I forgot to mention, Pelipper here is just going to be a support type mon. You can use Hurricane to attack, but I think it would be best suited just to be able to support your teammates with not only the cheers, but also Chilling Water and Rain Dance. Now, with Hurricane in the kit, this is a perfect move against a fighting type Pokemon. Everybody loves Hurricane. This not only has a chance to confuse the target, but it does a significant amount of damage. Now, I also included Roost just in case, be able to keep your own mon alive. And moving on to the ability Keen Eye. Its Keen Eyes prevent its accuracy from being lowered. That would be good, in case Cinderace, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. Cinderace has a move that'll lower your accuracy. Not a huge, fear for your Pelipper because it's support anyways, but in case you want to use Hurricane, it'd be best not to have your accuracy lowered. Now moving on to the stats, it is a special attacker, quite obviously, so it has pretty high special attack. It also is very beefy on the defense here, so that is a perfect mon against a Cinderace. Now moving on to our 5th Pokemon, Mimikyu. Now, Mimikyu is a ghost fairy type. Ghost, like I mentioned earlier with our Ceruledge, it cannot be affected by fighting type or physical moves in general. Now, moving on to the fairy version, like we were mentioning earlier, is very strong against fighting. However, there is a chance that they will have a gunk shot or an iron head. Still don't know that yet, but it might affect your fairy type kit. We'll see later. But as far as Tera type goes, I would recommend going with fairy Tera type, but it's kind of iffy here because if you go with a fairy Tera type and you're getting to the end, then there's a chance that you'll be getting hit with fighting type moves now, and that might hurt a little bit. But getting away from all of that, our held item here is Muscle Band, and that is because Mimikyu is a physical attacker. Now, moving on to the moveset, after talking about that, we have Play Rough, which, as I mentioned with the Azumarill, very, very strong physical attack move. It also has a chance of lowering the target's attack stat, which is amazing as well. Charm is a good support item. This harshly lowers the target's attack stat, so this would be a perfect thing to have in your kit. Now, I forgot to mention it, but Mimikyu here is going to be not only an attack Pokemon, but it's also going to be, it's kind of a hybrid. It's going to be more of a damage dealer, but it's also partially a support. And that is not because of Charm only, it is also because of Trick Room. Now, Trick Room is a good thing to have in your kit because it allows slower Pokemon to move first, rather than having like Ceruledge, who's an amazingly quick Pokemon, attack first. And just as Mimikyu is also a quick Pokemon, but Cinderace is very fast as well. Now you get slower Pokemon, maybe Slowpoke, maybe a Azumarill, they would benefit highly from this Trick Room. So Mimikyu might be one of the top Pokemon to have as a hybrid member of your party. And Hone Claws, obviously I added that so you get a boost in your accuracy and your attack stats. Now, speaking of stats, moving on there, we have our attack at 306. Very nice, very nice. The speed is at 228. Very good. Special defense is very high, but obviously this is going to be more of a physical attacker in Cinderace, so defense is a little bit low, but not terrible. Now, its ability is Disguise. Obviously, Mimikyu always has a Disguise. Once per battle, it protects the Pokemon from a hit. That is always good to have. Now, moving on to our 6th and last Pokemon is Skeledirge. Now, you guys might be saying, well, Skeledirge is a fire and ghost type, but it doesn't have flash fire like Ceruledge does. That is true, and it's going to be kind of weird. You see my Tera type is fire. I am going to be changing that to fairy. Now, the reason I'm changing that to fairy is because of Tera Blast. Now, we're going to cover the moveset in a second, but first I'm going to tell you about the held item that I put onto Skeledirge, which everybody should have on a Skeledirge, is Throat Spray. Now, the Throat Spray, right? Anytime you use a sound-based move, Torch Song, or what's the other one, Hyper Voice, your special attack will increase. Now, this is perfect to have whether you're going up against any other type of Pokemon or a Pokemon that's super affected by a fire type move. Very nice with Torch Song because it already gives you a special attack bonus. So moving on to our moveset, right, we have Sing as a very good support item. It puts the target immediately to sleep. That would be very nice to have. Tera Blast. Now, the reason why Tera Blast is going to be a key move in the Skeledirge kit for this raid is because once you have, and this is only going to work if you have the Fairy Tera type. As I said earlier, I am going to be putting that on the Skeledirge to test out. So Tera Blast is going to deal damage based off your Terraform. form. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit into the raid until you get terastallized in the fairy, but it inflicts damage based on your attack or your special attack, whichever one is higher. This is going to be incredible for when you're using Hyper Voice or your Torch Song along with Throat Spray to boost your special attack before you terastallize. And this is why I have Hyper Voice, Torch Song in our kit. Now, that's about it for Skeledirge. I mean, his ability is Blaze. It's not going to help you out much here, but moving on to its stats, right? Special attack, very huge for Skeledirge. Always a good special attacker to have. HP is very top tier. It is high defense as well. So this Skeledirge is not only going to be a very strong special attacker, it is also going to be a beefcake as far as a tank goes. So that is my list of Pokemon that I think will be amazing for this Tera raid coming up, or the Tera raid event coming up with Cinderace. If you guys have any comments, go ahead, comment in the comment section down below. Maybe like what you liked about my picks, about the move set, all this other stuff, and let me know what you guys think as far as like what Pokemon you're going to be bringing to this Tera raid, or what changes you might make to the Pokemon that I listed here. And other than that, guys, if you enjoyed it, like outside of everything that you're going to be leaving in the comments, please like the video. It helps the channel a lot. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you guys be notified of more content like this, as well as my live streams. I live stream pretty much daily. I have Mondays off. Tuesday, Thursdays are my Pokemon days strictly. Wednesdays are Wild Wednesdays. We can do whatever. Fridays are Mario Kart, and Saturday and Sundays kind of whatever as well. So anyways, guys, hope you guys have a good rest of your day and have fun this weekend with the first Cinderace Tera raid event. Take it easy. See you guys later.